My name is Nariba Shepherd.
And I'm Justin Onette Graham.
And this is Terms of Service. Girl.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy day.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
You know how I started it.
Yeah. I mean.
Our cat swallowed an eraser. Picture it in your brain. But yeah.
I mean, we might include the x-rays that you
Oh
sent,
my God.
So
please let Roosevelt get his 15 minutes of fame.
Okay.
And 15 seconds of shame.
Okay.
Because it was
Got it. Well,
how are you doing though?
I'm well.
On this beautiful Chicago winter morning.
Yes, but also this is dropping in nicer times. So I want to focus on the future.
You mean March?
Because
it's still going to be winter.
Early April.
It snowed on my birthday last year. April 15th, it snowed.
Okay, well, you know what?
I'm sorry.
I don't want to hear shit about tax day,
I have reality in my brain.
Actually.
It is it's like the suggested day. April 15th used to be hard tax day. And I was hyped because I was like, no one can forget my birthday. It's on tax day, but the government is lazy. And they keep procrastinating the official cutoff date.
This is very true.
So now I'm just loosely doing my taxes.
And by the way, looking at you, it's just again, it's giving me hyper-tropical vibes because
I took
as no one can see
in the
it
car
right now,
that.
but I'm surrounded by beautiful birds of paradise.
It's okay, don't worry. I'll take a picture.
Okay, thank you so very much.
For later.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
So outside of the cat and tax day, how the hell are you doing?
I have 0 jobs.
Okay, well,
it's okay.
Yeah,
it's a time of the year that's winter in Chicago, and also with COVID, it's people can't afford to keep people the way that they used to. So I'm not taking it personally.
They're also being held to a higher standard.
Yes,
as
also
they should.
That.
So that's real.
But other than that, I had the flu. It was not COVID, thank God. I took so many tests. Courtesy of the U.S. Postal Service.
I'm not happy to hear that you had the flu. I'm happy to hear that it wasn't COVID.
I'm happy to hear that it was the flu because I was like, is this it? Am I dying? I cried this week because I was so weak from fever that I was disappointed in myself for not cooking or doing dishes or moving from the couch. So that was nice.
Well, I feel like that's a nice segue to the fact that we have a doctor here.
A real ass doctor.
A real ass doctor here. Hi, Dr. Parr. Excuse me, Sam. Hi, hello.
How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. And we also have Hannah Burke.
Yes.
Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Well, we're so excited to have you both. And I feel like I say this every single time, and I don't care. So as per tradition,
yes.
What are your signs?
Aquarius.
Aquarius. Big Aquarius and energy. Big Aquarius energy in here.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense that a doctor would be an Aquarius because
Thank you for that.
it's a neurology situation with y'all. Your brains are just wired differently, and you can get so much shit done, but still
There's no way in hell.
people.
So shout out to you. I cannot be a doctor.
I can't do that.
I can't do that.
I am irresponsible.
Well, I respect
emotional damage. Straight up.
Wow. Well,
right there with you.
Yes, I'm just it's definitely. I feel like we're gonna get into that.
Oh yeah. But wait, what's your sign though, Hannah?
Aquarius.
Yes.
So yes, but
dive out of this booth with my under accomplishments.
Well, I'm an Aquarius Pisces cusp. So my birthday is February 18th. So sometimes I'm the last day of Aquarius and sometimes I'm the first day of Pisces. So
I recently found out, and I'm taking it with a grain of salt. Cusps aren't real. I just found this out.
Okay.
And it makes me sad. But I'm going to keep them. Just people are I don't really read tarot cards in reverse. I'm keeping that shit too. What if sometimes you need the hard no from the universe?
Absolutely.
Tower right side up, it's going down. Tower reverse,
that's real.
Still going down.
It's fair.
Either way. it's going down.
I just say that I like to use it to describe why I have such a big personality.
Oh, that's like the thing. That's part of your situation. Aquarius is.
I love it. Well, since this is a whole Aquarius ass episode,
yes,
let's get into it. So, Hannah, I'm going to start with you. We know each other.
We know each other very well.
This is entirely true. That may be very elusive to people. Yes, we are very familiar with one another. Hannah and I go back years and years and years.
Over a decade.
Yes, platonically. Mm-hmm. Yes, so there is that. If you would like to talk to us a little bit about your background.
So, are we talking about my industry background?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, I started working in the industry when I was 15. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, and I worked as a hostess at the original Pancake House.
Ooh, cute.
So my mom and my aunts actually all worked at the original Pancake House here in the city. They had to pay for their own high school. So my grandparents were like, you are going to be waitresses and pay for your high school.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, they went to a private Catholic school, of course. So,
okay.
But anyways, so I worked in the industry in Northwest Indiana. I worked at Red Robin and Buffalo Wild Wings, and then
B-dubs.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my first. Yep. So I moved to Chicago when I was 21, and that was my first job in the city. Was working at the B-dubs that used to be on Lincoln Avenue, OG B-dubs. That's not there anymore.
This is the first time I'm hearing it being referenced as B-dubs. And
Everyone
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just. I guess that's just a thing. We always called it B-dubs.
I only know it as B-dubs.
Mm-hmm.
B-dubs, aka Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yes.
A rebranding in effect.
Yes, absolutely. So I started working there, and then I met some friends, and then, they took me to the late night spots in Chicago, and that brought me to cocktail serving and bartending at Frank's, which is a iconic 4 a.m. bar in
and sometimes it's 5 a.m.
in Lincoln Park. Yes,
but if you play your cards right, be a 6 a.m. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So
Max looks like he wanted to gag on that one.
Yeah,
it's true.
So I worked at Frank's for I think 3 years, and that's actually where I met Justin. Justin was working at L2O at the time, and the L2O crew would come into Frank's, after their shift
and drown our fucking sorrows.
Yes, and I facilitated that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
So I met Justin. He was my customer for years, and then
God damn it, I was your guest. You want customers? You go to Walmart, honey.
Oh my god.
Yes. So I started hanging out with you guys outside of just you being my guest. Mm-hmm. On your last night of L2O, there was a going away party for you at Barrel House Flat, and I went.
Oh
you
God.
remember this?
Vaguely, yeah.
Vaguely, because I was at Barrel House Flats and it was my going away party.
Yes.
So R.I.P. Barrel House Flats, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started hanging out with you guys, and that's kind of how Steve and I started. The seeds were planted for that.
I love that.
And then after working at Frank's, I actually ended up working with Justin at Small Bar. So I wanted to leave the late night because the lifestyle, I just couldn't handle it.
And also, I think it's really important for people to know that it was Small Bar on Division.
Yes,
it is
OG.
now Pub Royale, 2049 West Division. The number one thing that I want to say about Small Bar is I always felt that it was less of a bar, soccer bar, craft beer bar, but more of a community center.
100%.
Because you met everyone in there. Some of the worst and some of the absolute best. Mm-hmm. So, Hannah, we're gonna continue that. But Sam, can you talk to us a little bit about your background? I'm gonna keep this I feel like I'm the referee here.
Fair.
Yeah.
So service industry.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm from West Michigan, Grand Rapids.
Nice.
And
show me on the hand.
we'll go, if we flip it, it's going to be right there-ish.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Everyone, bottom left of a hand.
Got
of
it.
a right hand, if that helps.
Got it.
So I got into a little trouble at 14. Nothing too crazy, just, stuff happened. And I was forced to get a job. First job I got was my sister's boyfriend's family restaurant, Brand Steakhouse and Grill.
That's like a really big thing. Like your sister's boyfriend liked you enough to get you a job.
Well, the first job was wearing a bull costume on the side of the street.
Still.
Oh.
Yeah, that
Just
was
saying.
Oh. That kind of gives me the what is that tax company?
TurboTax.
No, I think it's Liberty Tax. It's a Statue of Liberty,
yeah.
and they do like the whole like
But no,
thing.
not gonna do it,
Pinwheel.
not
Yeah,
gonna
were
do
you
it.
doing like breakdancing?
I did have headphones in, and I was dancing because no
Yes.
one could see me.
Okay.
So that lasted for like 2 to 3 months, which I think was at my mother's request. And then I started bussing tables, and then pretty much from there, kind of worked service industry until about 23. Just
Nice.
various spots and tables, and then prep cook and stuff like that.
Nice.
Okay.
Well,
I'm glad you got out.
yeah.
I learned a lot, and I feel like everyone should go through service industry. It teaches you to be a good person.
Agreed.
And also
Agreed,
show up and
100%.
be accountable
Yeah.
and kind of just be able to do stuff.
Yes.
Task orientation.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So this is a very unique and special episode because not only are we revisiting a topic that we are extremely passionate about here at Terms of Service, which is mental health, but we believe that the concept of mental health, the umbrella topic of mental health specifically, kind of leaves out a very crucial aspect of health, which would be that of physical health. And we know, those that have been in the industry, is that it's really important of being mindful of how you treat your goddamn body because it's all interconnected and interwoven. So can you talk to us briefly about your journey into becoming not only Sam, but now Dr. Parr?
Yeah. So grew up, always was a science nerd. Thought I would go into the so-called family business. My dad was a dentist and my brother was in dental school when I was a little bit younger. And
DDS.
DDS, yes.
Dental.
Yeah.
The bane of my existence.
Right. And so went through college, applied to some dental schools, didn't get in, and then went to Michigan for a master's program that was supposed to be my feeder into dental school. And after kind of shadowing a little bit, talking to my brother who says that nobody's ever happy to see a dentist, so it's very emotionally tolling, just like you. Yeah.
No. I am hyped to see my dentist.
Oh, really?
I have some really fucked up teeth situation happening. So every time I go in, I'm like,
Progress being made.
ready. Yes.
Good.
Yeah. They think I'm weird. They think
I've
I'm
always
weird.
liked going to the dentist.
You fucking would.
I know.
Probably because you like take a nap the whole time because you're always doing something.
This is also so very true. I was just like, put me under. But when I was younger, my dentist, I cannot remember his name, but he had this like Shel Silverstein poem that was framed. And it was basically about like doing dental work in the mouth of like a crocodile or an alligator.
Oh my God.
And I just know it's like, it was very lighthearted. It was very cute.
Love that.
You know, I was a super big fan. And I was just like, oh, this is great. So yeah, I don't have a problem with dentistry.
You didn't
So,
have your
yes.
grandma sitting with a wooden spoon in her purse threatening you if you like act up on your birthday when she schedules you appointments every year?
Yes, but also my grandmother's really the sweetest woman on the goddamn planet.
Okay.
And
Well, that's fair.
she sings to me on my voicemail every year, and it's basically our tradition. So when I see that she calls me on my birthday, I immediately send her to voicemail like an asshole, so she can go ahead and sing. And I keep it every year, and it's great. And you would think that she was like Diana Ross because like she makes it happen.
Oh my
on
God.
the voicemail, and then you can hear like my granddad in the back, and I'm just like, he's trying.
So special.
That is
Absolutely.
special.
So dental school, yes.
So that was the trajectory. And then while at Michigan, kind of shadowed a lot, really thought about what I wanted to do, had a director that kind of pointed some things out. And I realized I really don't think teeth are interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the rest of the human body is a lot more. in essence.
Yeah.
And so kind of on a whim, went to a chiropractic school in the suburbs of Chicago.
Awesome.
And from there, wasn't really sure if it was really meant to be. I only put so much stock in the value of some of the things that chiropractic is traditionally known for. But I ended up finding a couple schools of thought, some approaches to caring for people and healing that I really resonated with, and it ended up being a really good profession for me.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hannah, I'm going to kick this over to you. And also, I feel like this is the perfect introduction to the next part of your journey, because we have been gifted these beautiful beverages, spirit-free, from our friends at Ritual Beverage. And before we get into the next chapter of your journey, Hannah, this tequila alternative is fire. It is a tequila alternative gimlet, lime juice, cilantro, and jalapeno syrup. And this is, in the words of Nariba, delightful.
It is delightful.
So good.
Absolutely. So yes, shout out to Ryan of the Garnet team for doing the damn thing. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, B.
Yes. So, Hannah, let's go.
Okay.
No pressure.
I don't even know like where to start. So should I just like get into it? Like,
Yeah, I
here
mean, because
go?
we left off at Barrel House Flats, we left off at Frank's, and yeah.
So basically I continued working in the industry. And then I knew I had a drinking problem, but I wasn't ready to address it. And I think like most people, it's like, well, what am I going to do with my social life? Like all my friends are in the industry. My boyfriend is a wine professional and works in the industry. Like, how is that going to affect our relationship? Like literally, what am I going to do? Like, it wasn't just like, oh, these are my friends, but you know, that go out. Like, I love the Chicago dining scene. I love like exploring like the new restaurants, and I love the culinary aspect of crafted drinks, but I just unfortunately could never moderate. So I transitioned out of working in the industry, and I actually ended up working as a spa manager for Export for 3 years. And I thought like, okay, so since I'm like doing more health and wellness stuff, then like, you know, that's going to fix my problem. But I was still heavily drinking after my shifts. And then I actually ended up introducing cocaine into the mix.
Oh, wow.
And that's when things really started to like spiral. And it just, after like a night that was like really terrible, and I like came home like tweaked out of my mind. And Steve was like on the last straw with me.
Yeah.
I was like, I really have to pull it together.
Right.
And so my sister actually took me to an NA meeting, and you know, that was like a big eye opener for me. You know, I just felt there were so many feelings like, just this is so new. Like, is sobriety like really like, no one ever really like wants to be sober, especially like how I'm like, I didn't know any sober people. I'm so tied to the restaurant industry, even though I was like out of it for a couple of years. But you know, I was just going down a really bad path, and I was making some really destructive decisions. So I was like, you know what? I started with the intention of, I'm just going to try 30 days of not drinking, and, you know, really try to see if that's something that could benefit me. And I was like on Netflix or whatever, and I ended up coming across the Heal documentary. Which I highly recommend. And it's basically, it doesn't talk about addiction, but it talks about a lot of aspects of health and like emotional health, and just like the body, like how we have this, you know, ability to heal. And it really intrigued me, because after the NA meeting, I knew that I needed to make a change in my life, but that wasn't the route for me. I have no problems with like NA, AA. I have a lot of friends that got sober that way. It just wasn't my journey. And I was like, I have to get to the root cause of, you know, what my issues are. I mean, obviously like my drinking had gotten out of control, but what was really going on was the fact that I never grieved the loss of my father's suicide when I was 7. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional. That's why I brought it.
No, you're okay.
So, my father committed suicide when I was 7 years old. And obviously that's super traumatic. And I had 2 younger sisters. So I was 7. My sisters were 5 and 6 months. So it was really hard. And it was hard on my mom. And then like having that anxiety of like my sisters, like how are, being the older sister, like how is this going to affect them?
Right. And the responsibility that holds as well.
Yeah. And then my mom remarried, and my stepdad was very controlling, narcissistic, emotionally, psychologically abusive. And then he kind of like brainwashed my mom a little bit. And so like my mom kind of like didn't stick up for me. And it was also just a different time. Like we didn't talk about mental health. We like never talked about my dad's death. It was like such a shameful thing. Like we're not going to talk about it. Yeah. And that made things a lot worse. And then, so I went through like at a young age having something like that happen. And then I always felt like very disassociated, like I'm here, but I'm not. Yeah. And then I also, around that time, I also got diagnosed with scoliosis. So I had to, my grandma and my mom had it. It's genetic. So I wore a back brace from age 7 to 15.
I was going to ask when you got fitted. My niece has that. And it was like, since she was like 2, the shoes and like all.
Yeah.
And it's very stressful on your body.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just like awkward. Like I'm already like young and awkward, like an awkward child. My father's death. I have this like, my nervous system is so dysregulated from trauma and disassociation. And then I'm like the back brace girl in school.
Oh my God.
So like, I just always felt like, and like I just felt like I could never like connect to my peers.
I have
like
a quick
no
question.
one.
Did you have braces?
I did have braces later in life, but like that didn't bother me because like other people had braces too.
And
so
I'm sure that you rocked it. I'm just like,
brace
thinking about
on brace
how
action.
Yeah.
You got it.
That was me.
rude kids can be. And I'm just
100%.
like,
yeah, so I was like real cute when I was younger. And so that led to a lot of social anxiety. And I would actually have really bad panic attacks, and I would like faint. We would be like at a friend's house for like the group hang pizza party, and my mom would have to pick me up because I like had a panic attack and like fainted in the middle of the group. So just like horrible like social anxiety. Wow. So like as I got older, I used drinking for a lot of things to numb out, to again like disassociate on top of disassociation, for my social anxiety, to try to like loosen me up or fit in and things like that. And just alcohol was just such a vehicle that I would use to help with all of that. And then it just really started like spiraling out of control. And I knew when I was ready to get sober, I was like, I need to get to the root cause of these issues. Like, I'm finally ready. Like, I didn't talk about my dad's death for 24 years. I didn't have a picture of him out. I didn't talk about it at all because I knew, like, I'm still, like, I bring it up and I'm crying now because, and I, May 1st, 2019 is my sober date. So this coming May, I'll be 3 years sober.
Yay.
And thank you. And I'm really proud of that.
Yes.
But for me, sobriety, it has not only helped like my physical health, like whatever, my emotional health, but I feel like it's also, I heard somewhere once that addiction is the disease of the loss of self. And that's what like my sobriety has really brought me, has brought me like connection back to myself, and I feel like connection back to my father. And that's why I do a lot of that. I want to like recover out loud, healing out loud, because finally I've had all of this like shame and all of this stuff like inside me. And addiction runs in my family. My great grandmother was was an alcoholic and an addict. My grandma was an addict. My father was an alcoholic, and then he killed himself. And then like 3 months after my dad's death, my aunt died of a heroin overdose. And so I was just like, I need to stop this generational cycle. And that's another reason why I feel so empowered, is like with what I'm doing. Like, I really feel like my family's with me, like guiding me. Like, I don't know. My sobriety journey has also been very much like a spiritual awakening. And I know that like people throw that around, and like sometimes people get like, oh, the woo-woo stuff, but like it really has been such a impactful, meaningful part of my journey, is again just connecting with myself. I have a lot of younger sisters, and I feel like in my sobriety I've kind of treated myself like my own big sister. Like I have kind of like,
I fucking wish I could like get to where you're at, because my therapist is still struggling to get me to say nice things to my younger self.
It's
I'm
hard.
Not there.
It's hard.
No.
And it takes a lot of shadow work. Another documentary that really was impactful for me was the Brene Brown documentary called Courage. Mm-hmm. And she is a shame researcher, and she talks about, in that documentary, she talks about releasing shame. And I watched that right at the beginning of my sober journey, and it was super impactful for me, because I'm like, I'm tired of holding on to all this shame. And something that I've realized for myself and the other women that I've worked with, it's like shame will eat you alive.
Absolutely.
It will eat you alive. And I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not fucking doing it anymore.
And you don't have to.
And that's why I'm like, I'm working on myself. I still have a lot of work to do, but I'm open and honest. And I just want to continue like talking about this kind of stuff, because I never thought that I would be here ever. And I'm proud of how far I've come, and I'm proud of where I am right now and the things that I'm doing. But it took a lot of work. But people don't have to do it alone. And I think that it's important to know that it can be done. There's a lot that
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So I try to just keep my emotions deep down.
You gotta feel it to heal it.
Yes. And so just like, thank you, because I'm like, oh, Justin, you got to check in, honey. Okay. Because shit's real out here. And go ahead, Noriba.
I was just going to say, I think I have had a lot of the same feelings because I've stopped using stimulants. That was like the number one thing for me, leaving, like being in a kitchen. I realized that I was working all of these hours because I was just like hyped up 110% of the time. Right. And now I'm just like exhausted at the idea of like potentially going back to a kitchen and seeing what it's like from like the beginning of when I was in kitchens. And I think the hardest part for me has been realizing that like, yeah, I was able to accomplish all this stuff, and I was like, I could go out and drink and party with my friends and all this stuff. But now I'm like dealing with the fact that my brain has to rework how I experience emotions. And I'm like exhausted all the time because like, oh, I just went for like basically 5 years without like feeling anything. And it did take my partner being like, what the fuck is going on, for me to be like, oh, fuck. All right. And with that happening, my ability to like consume as much alcohol as I thought I could went down. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, oh, this is like the thing that happens to women in my family at a certain age. They all just like can't drink anymore. And I'm like, I'm good for like 2 glasses of wine, but anything after that is a hangover. And I'm more of a marijuana person. So
I'm Cali sober girl.
You're full. Yeah. It's been a lot, and I'm grateful that I've had a really supportive group of like people around me, and my old therapist and my new therapist are both very excellent at meeting me where I'm at. And I think that if I had to do it by myself, because first of all, I tried to call NA when I was at like my lowest, and it was like the rudest fucking way to get information, because they don't even ask any fucking questions. They're just like, location, we're going to text you a number. And I'm literally like having a nervous breakdown and you are not there.
Right.
But like, I really appreciate hearing someone be so honest and open and vulnerable about it, because I feel like I'm still waiting to unpack shame. And I also realized that I think a lot of what was going on for me is the fact that like, I didn't really process my dad also dying. And like, I was just like, oh yeah, like so involved with wanting to like be like him when I grow up that I didn't like deal with the fact that he was a very special part of my life in a way that he couldn't be for my siblings. And I just wanted to like be there for my siblings and make them feel better about everything. And I just wasn't able to process that. So it's been weird, but thank you so much.
Yeah,
but
honestly,
it's not easy, but anyone like on an emotional healing journey, the releasing shame, it's very difficult to do. And it takes, baby steps to get there, but it's also about being gentle with yourself in the process.
Yeah. I'm bad at that part, but I'm trying.
Got you, girl. I get it.
So this conversation is so important for a multitude of reasons, because I think it's really important for people to hear about, mental health struggles, mental health issues. But I'd also like to kind of bridge that with the physical side as well, because if you have shame, if you have trauma, it's like, how can that manifest to your overall physical being? So, hi, Sam.
Hello.
Gonna kick it back over to you, because again, I'm feeling like a referee over here.
Yes.
So
no, Hannah and I know we vibe. We have a lot of similar histories and have similar paths of healing. In the past couple of years, I've tried to make great strides with a little bit of substance abuse and also trauma from childhood. So I really appreciate what you said, Hannah. It's always lovely to hear your journey.
Well, also, Dr. Parr and I, sorry, just kind of want to segue. So really quick, sorry. But Dr. Parr and I work
from
together.
My job.
I know, sorry. But it's my transition from working in the industry. And last time I mentioned where I worked at the gym, but now I'm working in a whole, like a integrative healthcare setting, and we work together now. Yeah, no.
So honestly, I think they're completely intertwined. You can't have one without the other.
Absolutely.
I think, and it's, vetted out in research, but a lot of someone's pain that they deal with on a daily basis can be brought back to the brain in some components, some emotional trauma, some things that they're not addressing. And if you don't have your mental well-being, you're probably not going to have the capacity to engage in physical well-being. But at the same time, when we mismanage cases of patients with, pain in general, or coming in for something low back that should be simple, but then we give them a label of, disc degeneration with, chronic low back pain, and you start creating this kind of fear that they're never going to get out of this cycle. Yeah. That takes away from quality of life, and that will absolutely screw your mental health. Yeah. If you stop engaging in world, service industry, we all worked it. Like, our backs probably felt like shit. Yeah. And we still went to work, and that was super fun trying to pack up the ice buckets and carrying them upstairs.
Because there wasn't another goddamn option.
Oh, yeah. Nope. No.
It's just like the idea of having to show up to your shift, no matter how shitty you feel. It's just part of the norm.
Yeah.
And it's insane, because there's such an aspect to the industry to where it's this weird fucking, I don't even know.
Don't care about yourself, care about getting that money and working, and it all is for them.
Yeah.
So they dehumanize you so that you're I chose to do back of house after knowing and being diagnosed with sciatica. And I was like, yep, I'm gonna be a chef and stand up for 16 hours a day.
Well, and also it's such a puzzle to
and never go to the doctor.
It's such a puzzle to even access healthcare, because you whether it's a group, whether it's a just corporation, it's always these weird parameters that dictate when and how you can access healthcare.
And I would say that is the opposite of the bee's knees.
This God
Did I
damn
do
it.
it? I segued you.
Yeah. No, you did it. And well, so with that, because Nariba, you left me no other goddamn choice.
You're welcome.
Thank you so very much. We have another offering from our friends at Ritual Beverage, which is featuring the gin alternative. It is a riff on a bee's knees with lemon juice and honey clove syrup.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like a straw, but
Yes.
it's fine. I will take my time. But I just want to make it very clear that I
I'm
don't want
old
to
as
because I really
fuck,
like this.
and I'm about to have the worst acid indigestion.
Right. Well, all right.
No, I love it, but like after 26, it's like fresh citrus juice, not for me.
Okay. Fair. Fair. Sam, if you'd like to continue and also talk about just these interesting roadmaps into the accessibility of physical healthcare as well.
So I'm an independent contractor, so I get my insurance on the marketplace. So I've had the pleasure. I buy the cheapest. It's like
damn right.
I basically have the one that if I end up at the ER, I only spend $1,500 for them to save my life. Like that's the plan. It's ideally that's the only thing I think
mine's
get.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is distinctly possible. Like I'm clumsy, but no, and I'm grateful for my experience in healthcare because I've had to navigate the system for the last 2 years, and I can get myself into good doctors and I can do these things, but it's because I know these things.
Yeah.
And it's because I engage with insurance on a regular basis. I engage with physicians and kind of know to tell them the things that I need to get happen.
Exactly.
Right.
And, because I've dealt with a lot of like internal GI stuff in the last 2 years. And, the pleasure of being a 31-year-old trying to get a colonoscopy with shitty insurance.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry.
It's chill. It's really nice. They knock you out. It's all good to go. But
it just like I looked up the process because my mom had to have one last year, and I was like, ah!
Yeah, that sounds.
I'm emotionally not there yet.
Yeah, that hurts me.
But people, unfortunately, and I'm not a scholar on our current healthcare system, but I do know it's broken in the sense that it's fee for service.
Yeah.
People are getting you. I get more money if you see me more often, which means I should probably be shittier at my job.
Damn, tell it.
So
yeah,
and that's the case, and it's a for-profit system, which is unfortunate. But you unfortunately somewhat have to be your own best advocate.
Yeah.
And I tell my patients all the time, and I've had a lot of patients struggle just recently, like hardcore of me, like trying to get them into DOs and some neuros and some orthos. I'm like, you have to be the squeaky wheel. You have to advocate for yourself because you're going to get caught in the rigmarole of the administration. You're going to talk to somebody that doesn't really know what's going on. You're going to not have physicians working together. And it's just like, we don't really have a better system right now. And so in general, it's trying to use your resources to find the best physician for you. And so I tell my patients all the time, I'm like, hey, I'm a resource. My knowledge application might be limited to physical health, but like, hit me up if you need to know like a decent PCP that you can get into that might be at like Near North and like Winfield Moody, which is mine, like a lower income healthcare system, but she's a really good physician. And so I like give those names. And so I try to be a consummate resource to them, but it's hard. It's just not feasible. And our medicine is so reactionary that if we just educated a little bit more, like, at the beginning of this whole pandemic, it's let's wash hands, let's use masks, sure, but like we didn't talk about maybe getting a little exercise, losing a little weight, eating a little bit healthier, which all vetted out very successful at kind of preventing kind of infection in some capacity. And so, we don't advocate for that because it's not profitable telling somebody to exercise and eat healthy.
Right. Well, and so my mother, she is now retired into the desert state that is Arizona, which is,
it's fine. It's a choice, but it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'll be going there quite soon for a wedding. So can't wait to see what's happening there.
Is she one of the dry states? Like it's like hot but not humid?
So I do believe it would be known as like a dry heat sort of situation. So it could be like 115 degrees and it doesn't feel as if
you're wearing a wet terry cloth, like
exactly.
There's a monsoon season though that is like killer. It's like 2.5 months of just humid 115.
You
and
know
die.
so much more about Arizona than I do. And it makes me feel really bad because I have not gone to, she has come to visit me. I have just not been to Arizona in God knows how long.
To make you feel better, I haven't been there ever. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's fine. And for those of us that are listening that happen to be in Arizona, our DMs are always open at Terms of Service Podcast. If you would like to tell us what the hell to do when we go to Arizona. So thank you so much for that. So back to my lovely, lovely mother, who is now retired again into the state of Arizona. She used to be a dynamite force within the AMA. And so she has always been quite a resource for me in regards to navigating potential insurance. And also, little tidbit. So when I was 2 years old, I suffered a massive stroke.
What the fuck, Justin?
Absolutely.
Ow. Are you now talking about this?
I don't, because it seems to be the natural time to bring it up.
I'm mad at you.
I don't want to walk into a room and be like, 2 truths and a lie.
So sorry.
I'm like, I don't want to do that. But you know what? You just gave me the idea, and I just might. But anyhow, I had a massive stroke when I was 2, and it was very interesting because the blood clot happened right where my brainstem and spinal cord meet, which is very rare. And so basically, it affected the same side in which it happened. And so as everyone, not everyone, but a very high percentage of people will notice, is that I am left-handed. However, I was originally born right-handed.
Oh, dang.
Yes. And so my mom calls me every year, the morning of August 20th, and she's always sobbing on the voicemail. And she's like, good morning. This is just the anniversary of the day that I almost lost you. And I'm just like, ma'am, I'm trying to get my morning together.
Oh my
I'm just
God.
I'm like, this is so heavy. And
it's
so
the anniversary of your hand changed.
Yeah.
Yes, that's actually why she was calling me.
Right,
She's like, yeah, she's just like, you're creative and you're doing all of these things. But for 2 years,
you weren't. You were about to be a businessman.
I was about to be a businessman.
A straight businessman, and it all changed.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you so much. And so one thing that she always mentions is her position, which, I mean, she was 26 at the time because she had me when she was 24. Her position in the organization that she was with, because this was before the American Medical Association, she had fire insurance. And that is something that she always mentioned. She's like, Justin, if she's like, as terrible as that was, the only glimpse of it is, she's like, I could have gone bankrupt because those bills were astronomical. Children's Memorial Hospital, who I give money to every single year because they're responsible for me still kicking it. So thank you so much to them. It's one of those things to where, as she is, celebrating the fact that her son is still here, she also is very real in talking about just the realities of insurance. And when she moved on to the AMA, she's always been like, this is something that you should pay attention to, and just really just feeding me with all of this education, which it's great to have that knowledge. But as an industry, we simply do not provide the accessibility to it because it would be in some random ass handbook to where it's just okay, I don't know what the fuck this means. It's just oh, okay. Do you want insurance? It goes one of two ways. It's either, you know that you're going to be deducted X amount of money out of every single paycheck, and then you can go and get a checkup. You can go ahead and see a dentist. If you need glasses, you can go ahead and do a whole bunch of things. But actually, not really.
No, you can't.
But it's as things have changed over the years, it becomes this what are you giving up in order to afford your premiums?
Insurance is for rich people in my brain. It's like you have to have the luxury of having additional funds to do that. And that's part of the problem.
Yes. But I am also going to say that when I got sober, so much of the money that I was spending partying was redirected towards my health.
Oh, yeah, no, 110%. I started saving like $400 a month. And I was like,
Incredible.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I have a savings account now. It's crazy.
Not drinking with dinner, you're like, oh my God, food's not as expensive as I thought.
Right. I'm still on my
It's
journey.
a bottle of wine.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I'm still on my journey to
I'm
get
glad that
there.
I've gotten
Oh, no.
to the 2 glasses of wine because now I'm like, dinner is manageable cost-wise now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fair. But then, I always kind of have that whole thing. It's just like, dinner was great. So like check out this like other spot. And then it's just like, it's literally like
It's how they get
the
you.
movie The Hangover. Just like it kind of pans to the sky and then I just kind of like wake up and there's no tiger in my bathroom. But
I just discovered that
but
there's a third one. I didn't know that.
yeah, it's it
didn't know
doesn't hit as well as the other two. I was actually
You saw it?
Yeah, Hangover 3. Come on now.
Oh my God.
I have
Yeah,
not seen that.
it's
I don't know if I want to.
It's fine. But oddly enough, I was talking about Hangover 2 literally last night. So I don't like this full circle.
Yeah.
And so Dr. Sam, sorry. I kind of just like saying it too,
It's fair.
Yeah, I'm
It's
just
yours.
like Sam is great. But also I'm just like, Ma, look, sitting right next to her, whole ass doctor. This is great. You touched.
Sorry, I'm not gonna make the joke. Never mind.
No, you're fine. God damn it! No,
I'm sorry.
So, no, you're fine. You touched upon briefly the things that people should be mindful of, and the things that they can do preemptively to ensure that they're taking care of themselves and protecting themselves against
Aches and pains.
Yeah.
First thing that I kind of, in general, a myth or something that people should kind of be aware of is that everything that you feel that is painful does not necessarily mean that it harms you. Hurt does not equal harm. And that's a really powerful thing to know. So when you start feeling a little bit of sciatica, or you start feeling, your knees or your shoulders feeling like shit because you're carrying a tray all day.
I do not have Megan Thee Stallion knees. These are facts.
I do not.
These
She
are
gone.
facts.
It doesn't mean that there's something inherently wrong with you. It just means it's a signal from your body to pay attention, be a little bit more proactive. And I kind of use it these days as it's usually like a report card. It's a report card for your last couple of weeks. Are you getting your movement in? Are you getting your sleep in? Are you getting good nutrition and being mindful? It's your body's asking you to maybe slow down and pay attention a little bit. That doesn't mean rest necessarily. That doesn't mean avoid things that hurt you. It's not no pain, no gain either. But a lot of times we have to get a little uncomfortable to start recovering when it comes to musculoskeletal stuff. And so it's fine. The first thing to do if you're really struggling with it, like first know it'll be okay. That's what most people should need to know. It's like most of the time it's nothing scary, but you should probably get it checked out from somebody that is going to be a good advocate for you.
Yeah.
So with our office, how we operate, it's like I want to figure out the movements that you need to do on a regular basis to get rid of your pain. And then I want to teach you how to handle pain in the future. It's unrealistic to think you'll never have pain, but all you need to do is just know how to respond to it. Know what the body needs and, feel confident that you'll be okay and have the tools around you, which unfortunately usually or the most access that people get in general to healthcare these days is they're going to get an image, they're going to get a prescription. The image is going to tell them that they have something wrong with them that doesn't necessarily matter. It's always, I always say it's just wrinkles of the spine, gray hairs of the spine. Like we all get older, like everyone's got some stuff going on in their joints. Like my spine probably looks like garbage. And so
Your posture is great. So
it depends. I'll be anywhere from perfect to awful. It's your next posture is your best one.
I feel like they can just put that is awesome.
I steal all of these. I can't take credit for it.
I was just like, that is really great. But what you said before, I was like, you can just go ahead and put that on my headstone, So just like talk to me about posture all day. But yes, continue.
But going to someone that's just going to help you understand what's going on and get you moving. That's the biggest thing, is movement's your biggest friend for the most part with most issues. You just got to figure out the right movements. And that's where some misconceptions come from. It's sometimes something can feel good but not be beneficial. Yeah. And sometimes something can not feel great but then be beneficial.
It's true.
And so that's where I say you got to get a little uncomfortable. But a lot of times I just get people at the end of my treatment plans, after we get some control over the pain, a lot of it is I just start making them work out a little bit.
It does do wonders for not only your physical health, but your mental health as well.
Oh, yeah.
Even especially in the service industry, or just like where people are like, well, I'm active all day. My job is active. That's not the same as training your body.
When I had to get rid of my gym membership at the beginning of the Panini, I was like...
Yeah, we try and not say pandemic.
I love that phrase.
It's Panini, it's Ponderosa, it's Pterosaur.
I was almost proud of us for going through an entire episode without calling it something other than what it actually is.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Like, I'm at the part of my winter and Panini depression where I'm like, fuck, I have to exercise now just to have endorphins to do anything. So it's making me feel better in a way.
Well, and also it's like worlds away from like sometimes how I feel is like when I wake up, just like, let me just, drag these bones to the gym. And then like there's a certain point to where I just like flip and I'm just like, oh yeah, you got this.
Yeah.
Just like, okay. And then you leave and you're just like, walking like a Sex and the City montage.
I just hate getting there. I just hate getting there. Once I'm there, it's fine.
Right.
For sure.
Well, and so Hannah, I just made, that, Sex and the City reference. And speaking about segue, Miss, I'm coming for your job.
Okay.
You have built such a platform for yourself on social media. One, congratulations. And
thank you.
Two, talk to us about that.
So my Instagram handle is selfcare_and_the_city.
Remember that time that I was like, your face looks so familiar to me, but I can't place your name. And I was like, it's because of the internet.
Yes. Well, so when I, got sober, I enrolled in a year-long, online holistic healthcare program. And it was all about, holistic health and like functional nutrition and emotional health and all of these things. And then I joined a like a coaching group afterwards, and I really connected with a lot of women through. I know social media can sometimes be like, there's a lot of bad with social media, but you can also really use social media as a tool.
For sure.
And you control it.
It's like a necessary evil.
Yeah, control you.
Yeah.
And I connected with a lot of these other coaches and women going through not necessarily sobriety, but, other emotional issues or chronic illness or like things like that. And everyone kind of sharing their story and like hearing from other people like that and going through my Instagram. And I'm like, I don't need to follow these people that make me feel like shit about myself or any celebrities. And like only following like hashtags like self-love and healing and like whatever. And I've just used my Instagram and my social media channels to recover out loud, heal out loud, end addiction stigmas, end mental health stigmas, and just connect with other people that are looking for help with their sobriety. I recently started a group called Chicago Sober Society, where I host like monthly meetups and events for, people looking to have like sober socializing. I think a lot of times when people think of sober socializing, and this is not in I'm not trying to say this in a negative way at all, but I think a lot of times when people think of sober socializing, they think of stale coffee and cookies in a basement of a church basement, which can be meaningful and impactful to some people, but like that's not my vibe. Like I said, I love being out and about in the city. I love exploring the restaurant scene. And, you know, with the spirit-free movement, it's really exciting to, you know, I always say it's like, I feel like I can have my cake and eat it too, where I can like have all these like awesome drinks and like still be out and socialize. And I really want to like show that that's possible and that you can, you know, still, you know, live a really fun life. So Chicago Sober Society has grown. I just like recently started it, but again, doing monthly meetups, and then I'm connecting with other people who are, you know, trying to be change makers in the Chicago sober scene. And there's a woman, Christina Torres. I have to shout her out. She started Coast Dry Bar, which is a pop-up that happens at the Native in Logan. So she's doing that on Saturday nights. The drinks are fire. And then I connected with Praise Bar, this woman, Queen Yana. She is fantastic. I am obsessed with her. So she started Praise Bar, which is a dry pop-up bar for all the reasons you don't drink. So I am actually, that's my little like back into the industry. So I am I'm on the sober bar team for that pop-up.
Hell yes.
So it's the first Sunday of every month, we take over the Sip and Savor coffee house in Bronzeville. So, we just like serve up a bunch of like NA cocktails, NA wine, and it's just a really cool, like safe, sober community gathering. And it's really fun. So I'm just like really trying to, wonderful. You know, show people that, you know, sober living can be fucking dope. And, you know, just create community, because community is so important in sobriety and with your mental health. Like I was with this girl another Hannah that I met on Instagram. And we went to the Dry Coast Bar pop-up at the Native last Saturday. And we're just like sitting at a bar, drinking spirit-free drinks, crying and laughing and talking about our trauma stories openly. And we're like, what is this life that we're like like 3 years sober, like sipping on a mocktail at a bar. And it's just so like freeing. And like, I just feel like in my sobriety and being able to talk about this stuff is so empowering for me, but it's also just like me being my most authentic self. Like that, that just is empowering in and of itself.
Well, that's absolutely amazing. And one thing that I thought of as you were speaking is kind of removing that traditional aspect of people really going like in on people that don't drink because they want to know all about your fucking business. And basically I feel like they're trying to uncover some sort of trauma as the reason why people are sober. And that's always been a really interesting thing that I have thought about over the years, is like sobriety doesn't have to mean trauma.
No,
there's
a spectrum, and there's something interesting called gray area drinking. And I believe her name is Jolene Park. She's a coach, and she talks about gray area drinking and just how a lot of times people, I think with addiction and sobriety stuff, they think there's like a picture of what like addiction is, and it's like you're losing your job, you're like you're homeless, and like that's like what people think of, but that's not necessarily the case. Like you don't even necessarily have to hit a bottom to reevaluate your relationship with alcohol. And I think that's, some people have an issue with the sober curious movement. Again, because there is such a spectrum. Sometimes I think people in severe physical addiction, where this is my life, this is life or death for me. This is an acute health trend. So I think with sobriety, it is important to be really mindful of everyone's experience. Exactly. But it is okay to explore sobriety for health reasons. It's any reason why at the end of the day, it's a way to better your health. And like I said, a better, way to connect with yourself.
Right.
But,
and also
there's just such a spectrum.
Yeah. And there's such a beautiful element of clarity with it, because when there was a period of time to where I was bartending, not only at a now shuttered wine bar in Lincoln Park, which oddly enough was not that far from Frank's, while I was also bartending at Half Acre. I took a significant break from drinking, and a lot of that came from the unexpected consequence of said drinking, which is, not getting home until I didn't even know what time it was, and feeling like absolute garbage. And it wasn't just the fact that I was drinking, it was the fact to where like I was eating such shitty food, which tasted great at the moment, because it's just like, oh yeah, it's like,
I'm doing something for later.
Yeah, it's like 4 a.m. at the Golden Nugget or whatever. And I'm just like, I was like, no. And then when I would, when I took that break, I felt so clear. And because of that break, it has helped me be a lot more conscious in my relationship with alcohol. Now, am I perfect? Absolutely not. Am I sober? No. I will say that this platform, we are sober forward, because we like people to be able to experience the element of free-flowing conversation with beverages, no matter where you are on the spectrum, and to make sure that you have a level of comfortability to speak your truths. So thank you so much, Hannah.
Always.
Yes. So Sam, I keep going back and forth with Sam and Dr. I just want to make sure that it's balanced.
All of it's fair game.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have a final question for you.
Okay.
What would you suggest to owners and operators to ensure their staffs are able to connect with wellness initiatives, and specifically in whichever regard? And Hannah, feel free to join in as well.
So there is no shortage of clinicians that are passionate and that do good work, and regardless of the community that you're in. I really do believe that you're going to be able to find somebody that gives a shit.
Yeah.
It's really great, and we have something that we're working on at our office, but like a lot of times if you just get someone in early and just give a couple tips and tricks, whether it be mental health, whether it be spiritual health, whether it be physical or internal dietary nutrition, it's like if you just get some education forward and first, and just like a little bit of intervention, whether that be just some teaching, like a lot of things can be averted. Teaching your service staff to do a couple movements before work, making sure that they're actually having a breakfast before work.
Yeah.
It's a long way. But
right.
As someone that's done the 6 a.m. breakfast shift after being up until 3 a.m.
And not just like hunched over a trash can trying to inhale Comida because you're about to work the next fucking 14 hours.
Yep.
And
I
that
did
might have
that
been
2
the
days
only
ago in
meal
my
that
kitchen.
you had. That might be the only, in a direct quote from you, Nariba, that might be the only thing they eat that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But having those connections, using, you're in the service center, you are connected to your community so much. So maybe asking that doc that stops by hey, can you stop by and just tell us some information about what you do? Could you give us some recommendations? Like, I think that's where we have to do it, because we're not going to get it through the current healthcare system.
No. Yeah.
And so
right.
It's going to be, to use a phrase that gets thrown around, but like, it's going to be a little bit of grassroots, and it's going to be starting to get engaged with people. Like, I have a massive network of, I call them my hippie medicine doctors, because they range from naturopathic doctors, acupuncturists, personal trainers, chiropractors, and like, there's a lot of really good people around the city. But people just don't know it. And so you just need to get them connected.
Well, I do want to touch on what we're doing at our clinic. So Dr. Parr and I work at Lakeside Spine Wellness in the Andersonville Ravenswood neighborhood.
Oh, that's so close to me.
Yeah.
I'm in Rogers Park.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So we are really, so I do marketing, and I'm the patient care coordinator. And obviously Dr. Parr is one of the chiropractic physicians, but we do understand that there are issues with access to healthcare, and we are so pro industry. We worked in the industry, and our clinic director and the founder of our clinic worked in the restaurant industry for like 15 years. He put himself through, he went to chiropractic school when he was 30.
Yeah,
and he
so
worked through the industry to get himself through
his story is that he was working at Devonti, and he had a lot of pain, and he went to a chiropractor that helped him out a lot, and that prompted him to kind of go back to chiro school, and so he worked through it. And Hannah can attest, he patrons a lot of restaurants. So and our Christmas dinner was fire. It was he likes to go to good places, but we've all had service industry experience. Pretty much everyone in our office, and it's a patient base where we can really help them out, and it's not too much that we have to teach them. And so we are kind of starting this program as kind of just a service industry day, where we're kind of opening up scheduling for a severely discounted cost for an initial exam and follow-up treatments, where basically within the first, how we approach things, the first visit, we are giving you something that should be actively improving your symptoms within about 48 hours. Okay. So if someone comes back to my office,
love a roadmap.
Yep.
Yes.
So if a patient comes back to me in 48 hours and the symptoms haven't changed the way that I want, I know I'm missing something. So we have a very short timeline for an improvement. So that also goes hand in hand with the fact that we're not trying to drum up a bunch of service industry business that will continue to need to see us. Yes. But there's a lot of people that we can help with a couple lessons, a couple of appointments at a severely discounted rate, because we love the service industry, and
it warms my heart.
And so we're offering that up just because it's a bitch to find good care, especially when you are probably irritating what you have going on.
Don't you know it?
5.5 days a week.
Yeah.
If you are lucky enough to have a day and a half off from work. But so that's something that we recently just started.
Even consecutively.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's something we're super excited about, and we're hoping that people kind of get excited about and take advantage of it. One of my happy places is Royal Palms Shuffleboard Club. I'm in a league. I'm on the herniated disc, which is awesome. Nice. But yeah, so I mean that's a group that I love that entire staff, and so I'm hoping we're offering it to pretty much everybody, just proof that you work in the industry, basically. Mm-hmm.
And we decided to do it on Monday nights because a lot of industry is off on Mondays. So that's something that we all talked about, that we were really excited about, and especially our clinic director, he's we have to give back to the industry, this is where we came from, and we want to be able to give back. And like Dr. Parr said, we have a vast referral network, and I love working at Lakeside. It's been a really healing environment for me, and I talk openly about my struggles, or I didn't get a lot of sleep last night because this is going on, and it's just been such a healing environment for me, and I can talk to Dr. Parr openly about things, and touching on that Christmas dinner, I just wanted to mention this because this really made me feel really good. But the doctors, we went to Bavette's for dinner, and they knew that I don't drink, and they do, and I can be around people that drink, and that's totally fine. But they still invited me, and I was the only female, and I was still invited, and it wasn't she doesn't drink, so she's not going to be around us, and make that assumption for me. Yeah. I was still included, and we had a great time, and that really, really meant a lot to me. And that was also just a testament to people that really care. And this is a message that I want to put out there, is that people who really care about you, care about you, and they want you to be a part of it, whether you're drinking or not.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's just I just wanted to mention that, because I just think that so much when you're in sobriety, you're just so in your head about things, and what no one's gonna, and it's just, I think just the cure to some of sobriety struggles is, again, just being authentic to yourself, and the right people that really care about you will gravitate towards you, and
Yeah, and ensuring that you have accessibility to inclusivity.
That was also the genesis of service industry give back, that dinner.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So we spitballed it.
So
it's that time.
Yeah.
How are the Aquarii feeling? How are you all doing?
Yeah.
Good. Gonna enjoy a good Sunday after this. This was a nice way to wake up.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So
no one has ever said that before.
I was up. I was up at
actually,
like 6:30.
That is correct. Yeah. You are the first. Hopefully not the last. But yeah, no one has ever been like, it's a great way to start my morning, because it is the morning, y'all. So on a Sunday.
I love being here.
Well, and
for being here.
Thank you. And so I feel like the sigh is like my unofficial. It's time to wrap this up.
Time to wrap it up.
But again, I don't want to wrap this up. I'm just going to have to do the things that we know to do. But before I do that, Hannah, so how were your spirit-free ritual beverage offerings?
Phenomenal. Love.
Dr. Parr, how did you feel?
Ritual.
Big fan.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. But also, again, shout out to our Garnet team, specifically Ryan, for knocking these out of the park.
Thanks, Ryan.
And thank you, Ryan.
Delicious.
But Hannah, I'm not done with this whole ritual thing. Don't you have something to mention in regards to ritual? Yeah, I didn't forget.
Yeah, I am actually now a brand ambassador for Ritual, and I'm
Amazing.
really, really excited about that.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course. So, where do we find you, Hannah?
So I am working on my website right now, which will probably be launching in the next couple weeks. But Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me or reach out to me.
Drop the handle again.
That is selfcare_and the city.
Perfect. Awesome. Dr. Parr, excuse me, Sam.
Dr. P, tell us.
My social media where I never do anything.
Where we can find
I do a social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to circle back to that. You got to do the whole personal branding thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to circle back to that. But if anyone ever has any questions, if anyone needs any resources, I'm always happy to help anyone. So if you want to, you can hit me up. It's I think it is DRPARE.
It is.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Hannah.
Yes.
But truly, I am always accessible in any capacity. Email, stuff like that. I really do want to help people, and our office does a good job of that. So feel free to reach out if you ever have any questions about anything.
Great. Well, I would like to thank you both for being here. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Also, shout out to Blind Barber for hosting this necessary conversation. Also, Ryan from the Garnet team for these amazing beverages. Thank you so very much. Also, Ritual Beverage for just always doing the damn thing. And then last but not least, the entire production crew when it comes to making Terms of Service the thing that it is. Daniel, Cortez, Marcus, Max, everyone, thank you. And I am Justin Arnett Graham, and you can find me on Instagram at This Is Biko.
Right.
Also, before I get dragged in the DMs about this, I am aware that after that handle became available, I said on air what the old handle was, okay? But again, This Is Biko is where you can find me now because I'm still getting used to it. So, Nariba.
And if you want to see like a hot mess happen from time to time and a lot of like Zodiac stuff, you can find me at Rebaru, REBARU on the gram as well. Bye, y'all.
Peace.